Welcome to a lesson with Dr. Powell. Now we're on to step 3 of graphing this fraction of polynomials, or this rational function, as we call it. And so far, we graphed this, and then we bent the ends toward the end behavior line, which we found was y equals 0 in step 2. Just remember, keeping in mind, the only times we can ever cross the y-axis is at the places we already determined in step 1. So now for step 3, we just have to modify the graph at these places, the places where we cross the y-axis. All right, so we identify any place that comes from the top, we put a check mark, we're done. So -1 came to the top, we're done. So we only need to modify the places that come from the bottom. Now, why is that? Well, let's think about it. Can you really plug in a 2? You can't. It makes the bottom 0. In fact, if you plug in something that's really close to 0, you have a number over something really small, you get something really big. And it might be plus or minus, but it's going to be way far away. In other words, we kind of, in fact, let's focus at x equals 2. You can draw a line right here, a dotted line, and the graph is going to follow it, either going way up or way down. Now, if we're on this side of the axis, this graph can't bend down this way because that would create a crossing on the right of 2, but we can't do that. In fact, the graph's not even defined at 2, so this is really a hole already. That means there's no way, if we're on this side, that we could ever cross down there. But the function has to go along this line some way. It can't go down because there's a wall, so it turns and goes up. So we have that the graph just naturally kind of goes like this and just turns and goes upward. Now, what about on this side? We have a similar feature. The graph can't go through that wall, impossible. And it can't, so it has to turn but it has to go along this line of getting big in value, positive or negative. And so it just naturally goes down. Okay, then we could put a check mark. Now let's go to the last one. So we have these two checked, but we need to fix this one now. Okay, the same idea. If it comes from the bottom, then we're going to have a vertical dotted line. These vertical dotted lines are called vertical asymptotes. An asymptote is nothing more than just a line that helps us guide how to draw the function. For instance, the end behavior line y equals 0 actually is an asymptote because the graph is bending to it, because the graph eventually will look like the end behavior line or asymptote. So it naturally bends to it. Okay, but right here, we need to bend this picture so it goes along this dotted vertical line. So you notice how we're above the y-axis here. We better stay above it. So the graph has to turn and go upward along it. It can't go down because we're stuck on this side. So it goes up like that. Over here, notice we can't go through, so the graph has to turn and go down. And then we look at our work and we say, great, there's a graph of this rational function. Thanks for watching.